Hebrews 4:16 says, "Let us approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need." Dear Lord, I just pray that you speak to people's hearts here as I present this message just in certain ways, Lord. Whatever ways possible throughout this message. If it's not through me, Lord, through other people, as we all preach to each other tonight, I just pray that you ease any nerves in the room as well as my own. And that we come into your presence knowing how worthy you are and how great you are.
Amen.
All right. So who are you when you enter the presence of Jesus? Are you somebody that comes quickly with a spirit of just presenting all of your worries and your anxieties to the Lord, just quick in speech and not just quieting yourself before the Lord? Are you somebody who realizes his holiness and his worthiness? So today we're going to be in Luke chapter 7, starting in verse 36. And this is the story of the woman who poured the perfume on Jesus. And actually, as I was preparing the message, I was planning on presenting on Lazarus, because I love Lazarus. I've talked about him a few times. And when I was reading it, I just couldn't get over, it has a little thing in the parentheses, and it's just like, this is the Mary who poured perfume on Jesus' feet. And it just really felt like it grabbed my heart, and I didn't feel like my heart was in presenting Lazarus. So I just wanted to present something that my heart was in. And it says, when one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with them, he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. A woman in that town who lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house. So she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. As she stood behind him at his feet weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. When the Pharisee who invited him saw this, he said to himself, "If this man were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of a woman she is, and that she is a sinner." So Jesus is at the house of Simon, and this is a story that's presented in all four Gospels. I think that Luke presented the most material for this story, and so that's why I picked Luke chapter 7. But Simon was a Pharisee, and the disciples are here. Lazarus is here, who Jesus just recently rose from the dead. And then there are some other people here referred to just as other guests in verse 49. And Simon had invited Jesus over for dinner, but he didn't present him with water to wash his feet. He didn't present him with a holy kiss. It just says that they're sitting at the table just reclining, just like their buddies. And so he didn't even value him as a guest of honor in his house, even though this dinner was to honor Jesus. And so my question for you is, when you invite Jesus in, do you fear the Lord in all of all that he is, or have you become so content in his presence that you forget who Jesus really is? So then Mary comes along, and she has this jar of perfume, and it's pure nard, and it says that it's about a year's worth of wages, so it's a very expensive perfume. And she gets behind Jesus, and she starts by pouring it on his head. And then I just imagine, it says that she's a woman who lives a sinful life, and she just gets on her knees, like she's just completely overwhelmed by her sinful life when she's in the presence of the Lord, that it draws her to her knees, and she begins to pour the rest of it on his feet. And then she's moved to tears, and so she's wetting his feet with her tears, and then she just starts wiping it with her hair. And in biblical times, it was considered scandalous for a woman to have her hair down in a public place. And so if she wasn't already considered sinful and scandalous enough, now this woman has her hair down, and she's wiping Jesus' feet with it. But this is an act of humility. And after Mary does this, people begin rebuking her. And Jesus defends her and says, leave her alone. She's done a beautiful thing for me. And I think about myself in this situation if I was in Mary's place, because Jesus defended her, saying that this is a beautiful thing. But why would Jesus want my tears on his feet? It says that Jesus saw the hearts of everybody at dinner that day. And so it says, Simon said to himself, if Jesus only knew the woman who was touching him, and that she is a sinner. And Simon was a self-righteous man. He's a Pharisee. He's not even taking into account his own sin, just her life, and his focus is completely on her and her sin. Did Simon even think that there was anybody who was worthy enough to touch Jesus' feet? It says in John 1:27 that if he isn't even worthy to untie Jesus' sandals, a Pharisee definitely is not. And neither am I. So Mary's heart and actions reveal that she knew exactly how worthy Jesus was, and in understanding that, she found humility. And then in John 12, verses 4 through 6, it says, "But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected, 'Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages.'" So the perfume that Mary poured on Jesus' feet was worth a whole lot of money. People, including Judas, considered this a complete waste because they weren't considering the value of Jesus. They weren't considering all that he was. And so I looked it up, and Judas sells Jesus not too long after this, right before he's crucified. And he's sold for about 5 weeks' wages. So it's a lot less than the perfume that is poured on Jesus' head and feet. And so in today's money, that would be about $600 versus a perfume, which would be around like $10,000. So there's a big difference. And this just showed us that Judas did not put much worth on Christ. He was somebody who literally followed around Jesus for 3 years, watched his miracles, but he didn't recognize him for who he really is. So who is Christ to you? Is he somebody who's worthy? When you enter his presence, how do you act? And we're just going to go back to Luke chapter 7 in verse 44. It says, "Then he turned toward the woman and said to Simon, 'Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You do not give me water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears, and you wiped them with her hair. You do not give me a kiss, but this woman from the time that I entered has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. Therefore I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, and her great love is shown.'" So are you like Simon, who's somebody who's content in the presence of the Lord, too busy to thank him or acknowledge him for all that he is? Or are you like Mary, and in all of your sinfulness and unworthiness, doing what you can, kneeling at his feet and not allowing the weight of your sin to stop you from offering